In today's video I'm going to show you how I've soundproofed the wall that separates the garage and the main house to a level where even if you were to listen to your favourite rock song on full volume, you wouldn't even be able to hear it in the other room. Cocaine. After 6 long months of working weekends, working late nights, planning, building, paying the builder $100,000, our garage conversion is now completed and it's living space, and we were really happy up until the point where we realized that the sound transmission between the garage, the converted garage, and the main house is absolutely terrible. You can basically understand what the other person is saying in the garage. I thought I was heading towards the finishing line, but then the whole soundproofing challenge came up, and it wasn't an easy task because the wall itself wasn't a straight wall. It had a lot of bends, cupboards, and I decided to tackle the cupboard first. I'm doing a bit of a test. So I've got a Bluetooth speaker on the other side, and I'm about to turn it up to the full volume, and I'm going to measure how much of that noise or sound I can actually hear in this room. And I'll repeat that test once I've put in the sound jib, noiseline jib I think it's called, and we'll see what one layer does, and perhaps I need to put on a second layer. Pretty loud, so let's go into the room. It's quite loud actually. Okay, that's loud. Now I'm in the opposite room. I'm just going to place the camera down quickly. So I'm going to open up my sound thing here. Let's zoom in, you guys can see that. As you might be able to hear, there was quite a bit of sound traveling from the garage into the bedroom, and it was definitely not at an acceptable level. So it's an average of 40.6 with a peak of 46.8. So I'm really curious to see, once I've actually mounted the first layer of jib, noiseline jib, onto this wall, what is the sound performance going to be? So let's find out. I used noiseline jib, which is specifically designed to reduce sound transmission between rooms. It's a type of plasterboard and it's 13mm thick. Usual standard plasterboard is 10mm thick. Yeah. The way you cut it is very simple, just with a sharp knife, a straight edge, and then you push it a bit and you cut the other side, and then it just sort of, yeah, comes off. Just a bit hard to get in because it was on an angle, but I think it's pretty good. Yes, I'm talking. Are you Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Have you got superpowers? Yeah? Can you soundproof this cupboard? Yeah? Cool. Either end of the walls there is a wooden beam or whatever it's called behind it, so it's probably the best if you put your drywall screw into the wood as well. Got my little helper. Can I have the screws, please? Thank you so much. So, I didn't have to cut this panel. This was a 1 meter 20 wide panel, standard height 2.4 meter high. These panels are $50, 50 New Zealand dollars. So it's quite an affordable option really. This whole cupboard will probably cost me just over $100 to soundproof. So it's quite affordable. First layer, obviously we have to see if that performs well. If not, we'll have to chuck another layer on. You don't want anything to stick out where the screw used to be, because that will shine through once you've plastered and painted it. So I'll show you an example of what it should look like. So you can see that screw sticks out a bit, and that one over here is pretty smooth. You have to think of sound like water or light. It can basically travel through any gaps, and so you want to make sure you close these gaps with a product called Jib Sound Seal. Okay, so about 2 hours later, I've lined the whole inside of this cupboard with 13mm noiseline jib, and so it's time to perform the second soundproofing test. So as a reminder, the last result was 40.6 average with a 46.8 peak. Really curious to see what 2 hours of work and $100 worth of noiseline jib do. $36.2 average and a 41.3 max. So it tells me that we've reduced it by 4 decibel. Yeah, interesting. It's not bad, but it's not good, eh? So I'll probably have to chuck on another layer. After adding another layer of jib, I was really keen to repeat that sound test again, and to my shocking surprise, I found out that the noise transmission has not been reduced a single bit. I still received the same average of about 36 decibel, and at this point I was quite confused, but then I remembered a childhood memory. You might remember from your childhood this type of acoustic non-electrical speech transmitting device, aka tin can telephone. Now this is exactly the phenomena that happened to me, that sound travels through objects, and I had to find a way of breaking that phenomena, and I found this product called jib rails, and apparently that, you know, offsets the jib from the other jib and reduces the sound transmission. So using a stud finder, I located the studs behind the jib, and that helped me to screw the jib rail into place. I thought I'm not going to redo the cupboard because there's anyway a massive gap between the external door and the wall, so just focused on getting it right on the main wall. So I sealed the gaps again with sealant. The only challenge I found was to make these doors of the cupboard airtight. There's no real economical way of doing this, but I thought that because of this close inside that absorb the sound, that shouldn't be a big issue. I'm actually really excited, a little bit nervous, because I've just put up this extra layer of jib with the jib rail, meaning there is an ear space now, and I really hope it makes a difference. The only alternative I have from here, from this point, is to add another layer of jib, which I'm planning on doing anyway. But I hope that this really hopefully gives me some results. So just bear in mind while I do this test, actually, I just figured this out later on, that the amp itself, even if there's no noise in the room, perhaps just my breathing, there's a value of 25 decibel in the room. The goal of today is to get close to that 25 mark, so I'll see how I get on. So I achieved slightly better result with using the jib rail. It dropped from 36 down to 32, 33. It wasn't there where I wanted it yet, so really my next option was to start soundproofing the other side of the wall, and I had some idea on how to do that in a different way. But before I did that, I thought I might as well chuck on another layer of jib, because I just had it on site anyway, and see if that makes any difference. Interesting. I don't think that dropped much. Jeez. I put a whole lot, another layer of jib on, and it didn't do much. So at this point in the journey, I was quite disheartened because I didn't really get great results. I got sort of mediocre results. We reduced the value from an average of 40.6 down to about 33 point something. So I started looking into alternatives. The one alternative was green glue. So that's basically a noise proofing compound that you put onto your jib or drywall, they call it in the US, and that sort of absorbs some of the sound. Now unfortunately in New Zealand I couldn't find a distributor, only in Australia, and the second option would be to use MLV, so that's mass loaded vinyl that it apparently also absorbs the sound, and you put that between the jib and the studs. Unfortunately again I wasn't able to get my hands onto this, weirdly enough, so my alternative was really just to figure something out, and I thought, well, if I build a floating wall that is not attached to the existing wall with some sort of sound dampening material like insulation, then have another layer of noiseline jib, that should really help me reduce the noise transmission, and so that's what I did. So the last option of building a floating wall with insulation inside really helped me to bring that level down even further, down to 27. That's only 2 off, but which is basically dead silence. And I think that's the most cost-effective option to soundproof a room, is to have a floating wall. I have a ton of other videos when it comes to converting the garage, all the planning stage, the process. So if you want to learn how to convert a garage step by step, then feel free to check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.